On today's episode, Fly Fishing Unfiltered, we're covering our top flies for smallmouth bass fishing in the Pacific Northwest. Hey everyone, David, Northwest Fly Fishing Outfitters, coming to you with another Fly Fishing Unfiltered. A couple weeks ago, Colby and I filmed an intro to bass fishing, and we're back with a larger group, and we are calling this group the Bass Pack. And today we're going to cover the flies from the top of the surface all the way subsurface, because one of the things that we kind of left out a little bit was an in-depth coverage of the flies in that video. And so we're going to break down the flies today. I've asked Colby, Spencer, and Gabe, who love smallmouth bass fishing, to break down their top flies for each of the segments of water. So we're going to get started with Colby.
Hello, my name's Colby. I work
Hi,
here at
Colby.
Northwest. So I've been tasked with picking flies for the surface. And for me, if I'm going to be fishing the surface with one of my clients or myself, I'm going to start with a couple different options. First and foremost would probably be the one that most would grab, which would be a popper. Popper is a surface fly that is meant for kind of agitation, kind of piss them off, get them to look over at it, and hopefully hit it.
So kind of like me looking at you at work today.
Just pisses me off. Just makes me want to just attack it.
Just pop you.
Just, yeah, assault. But yeah, this is a popper. Balsa wood, foam, deer hair, doesn't matter. It all does the same thing. It all has a cavity in the front and makes a popping sound when you strip it in. Many of these will come with weed guards. I cut that off. I don't really fish poppers in the weeds, and first and foremost, we're fishing for smallmouth. They're not going to necessarily be in the weeds. But yeah, that's a popper. Another surface presentation that I would recommend is this is one called Old Mr. Wiggly. This is a Wiggly style fly. This would be more agitation. This would be more finesse. This is one where you're not going to pop it. I wouldn't even want to say strip it in. You're going to move the line in such a way that the legs bend. That's really all you need to do, is bend the legs. We're not trying to impart too much action. It's supposed to resemble a dead or dying bug in the surface, and those smallmouth will be more apt to sip this guy as opposed to attack this guy. Another fly for the surface would what we call kind of a slider or a deer hair bug. This has a Dahlberg head. Larry Dahlberg designed kind of this diving head. These are fantastic. This is a Shad colorway. This would be something you'd see also in a frog colorway. So if you're in a tributary or water with a lot of frogs, I recommend going to the frog one. If you're on, let's say, the Columbia in the fall or something, and you'd see more shad, this would be one that I would use. This will be a quick pop. This would be no pop. This would be a long pop. You want this to dive down and create a trail of bubbles.
So when you're talking a long pop, you're talking the retreat?
The strip, yeah. The strip
in.
will be very short and quick with this one, very subtle with this one, and very long with this one. They all do different actions.
Yep.
Obviously, this is much larger than the other two, so you're going to need a larger, probably a 7-weight, maybe an 8-weight with a floating line. And then last but not least, I'm kind of taking a little bit of their thunder, but you could do a popper dropper setup, which is something that is covered in a couple of these books.
Yep.
Very
Would you
cool.
say that's really close to a hopper dropper?
It does.
Oh my god, so you're telling me if I know how to do that for trout, I could do this for smallmouth, Colby?
100%.
Oh my god, thank you so
100% off the bend of the hook to the eye of this hook, a foot or two at most. This is not something you're going to use to get a lot of depth. You're just providing them something with an agitation or attraction, and they'll probably take the more nuanced one. So,
and your dropper that you're holding in your hand right now.
Thank you. The dropper that I'm holding in my hand right this very moment is a Clouser.
Okay.
So this works really well with small Clousers, very small bait fish. If you wanted to, you could do in certain waters damselfly larvas, small woolly buggers, something that won't necessarily drown the popper. And just gives them something else to look at. So those would be my 4 choices for the surface.
For the surface. We really thank you for that, Colby. And next we're going to get to Spencer. So Spencer, what do you got for us today?
We're lying. We're going to skip to Gabe because Gabe is like subsurface and I'm very bottom. So we're actually going to jump over me and then come back to me.
Okay, well there you go.
So I got 4 bugs here. 2 of them kind of fall under the same category. I'll start with one. This is a jerk changer. Kind of an interesting looking fly. Hooks in the middle. You're not gonna be able to hear it, but there's a big rattle in here. This one is one you can tie, or now you can buy. We do have some of these available as of recently, but you can do these with a marabou tail, quick and easy, or you can do it with a hand paddle tail. Both work good. Bait fish imitation, tie it in all sizes.
What about colors? Does it matter on colors?
Nope, colors work any which way. I do really good on chartreuse, orange, and white. Those are probably my top 3 picks.
I think that one of the things that you guys like though is oftentimes colors that stand out against the water column, so that you, from a visual standpoint, you can see the eats a little bit better. Your clients that maybe aren't as accustomed to seeing an eat, when that fly disappears, we know that something's happening. So this one may be a little bit harder to see for someone who's newer, but for
sure.
people who are experienced, a colorway like that is going to...
91.
What's that?
Or they're 91.
Okay, 91.
Yeah, I mean, this one is definitely not going to be one you see. You're just going to strip and you're going to come tight.
Okay.
Most of the time, if I'm fishing this, it's white or chartreuse, and if it's white, there'll be a bright head on the front.
I'm pretty sure you fished a hot pink one at once and caught a pretty nice bass on a hot pink one.
Yeah, I mean, any color. I've probably caught a fish on most every color. They're, anything. It's more profile oriented for them.
Yep.
Which kind of brings us into the next 2. So we have a Murdich minnow here and a mini Gamechanger. This for middle of the summer, when you have a bunch of small bait fish around in the shallows. These work. They work wonders, really. You'll have fish just blowing bait pretty regularly, and it's going to be a lot smaller than they're going to be eating in the fall and spring. In the fall and spring, they're going to be looking to put the feed bag on with some bigger stuff, crawdads, bigger bait fish, kind of that whole game. In the summer, they're looking for an easy meal. They just want to go snatch a little bait fish, and they're all grouped together, so it's pretty easy.
And I would say one of the nicer things on these smaller flies, castability.
Big time.
Quite a bit easier to work a long day bass fishing when you're casting a fly that's an inch instead of 3-4 inches. So
Yeah.
definitely something that's nice about these smaller flies.
Very much so. This is my absolute favorite fly. I have done so well on this fly. This is called the Leggy Boy. The guys over at Schultz Outfitters made this fly. The cool thing about this, it's got a crap ton of legs. This, you can tie them. We don't have any for sale yet. We should have some next year. As of now, you kind of have to tie these for the most part. You can tie these to have more of a bait fish look or more of a crayfish look, or an in-between. So this one is kind of more crayfishy. When it gets all wet, these legs all droop down and it just is an orange tail. It looked very crayfishy under the water. Looks kind of bait fishy right now. But if you did this all in like whites, grays, more neutral bait fishy colors, it's going to imitate a bait fish really well. All these legs, when you strip, the legs are just going to wiggle and wave, and a lot of articulation, so it's going to kick side to side really well. You can tie these in all different sizes, from small to medium to large. The smaller, the more annoying they are to tie, but they do very well.
And on these flies, you're fishing primarily intermediate lines, I think, Colby, is what we talked about in our last bass video. So,
Depending on the water for me.
And the smaller ones, you can get away with a floating line.
okay,
Yep.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. And last but not least,
Yeah.
Spencer.
So now we'll go to the very bottom. We fish a lot of like crayfish patterns and bottom bouncing patterns. So one thing that we primarily fish on the bottom is in fact the crayfish, because it is the #1 food source for smallmouth, especially all year round on the bottom in the rocks, where, as Colby previously mentioned, most smallmouth live is in rocky structure, not weedy structure like largemouth. Very common misconception on the bass creatures there. So want to catch more smallmouth, fish more rocky structure like he talked about. One thing that I have here are 2 different colors of a crawfish. And the olive and the orange are your most popular ones for sure. You do see crawfish get into like a molten color like blue. Green,
Yeah.
kind of, you see that a lot, but primarily you're going to see them orange and olive, more natural. And the reason we fish more natural for these patterns is because the time of the year they do the best is usually the lower, clearer water, where fish can be a little bit more spooky, if you will. And as you guys know, smallmouth are very smart when they get big,
Yes,
so they will key in on a more natural size and color eventually. So
Yeah.
color doesn't matter too much with bait fish patterns in the spring and fall when they're super aggressive and looking for that giant meal. But when fish have eaten a few things and they're kind of chilling out and they spawn and they're just lethargic and just kind of chilling, you definitely want to get a little bit more slow and finessey with these fish.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. One thing I do have here is a bigger crawfish, because as Gabe did mention, when they do put the feed bags back on, you can fish bigger patterns again, and typically a bigger pattern means a bigger fish. I call this dink patrol. All these big flies are what I call dink patrol, because when smallmouth get more aggressive and I want to catch bigger fish, the bigger flies keep the small ones out of the game a little bit more for me, and I have a higher chance to catch bigger fish more consistently that time of year. So, but that's the difference on the sizes and colors of the crawfish. And again, this is primarily bottom. So when we talk about fishing the bottom, we're typically fishing a floating line with a very long leader.
Okay.
I might even step down to 8-pound test, 10 to 8-pound test fluorocarbon,
Yeah.
and throwing it up river like you would a dry fly presentation or indicator presentation, giant mend. Big difference here is I'm not trying to mend to the fly. I'm simply trying to mend most of the fly line to about the last foot or so of the fly line, and I actually want kind of that horseshoe downriver shape. So my fly is still being pulled as it sinks. Then every time I mend the fly line that's getting a little bit belly in front of it, those mends create that crawfish to kind of flutter like they would naturally. Crawfish can move kind of long, or they might move short, but they do move in 2 to 3 pulses typically, right? So you kind of see that bump, bump, pause, bump, 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 pause is kind of the cadence that I like to go with. So that's, I guess, the crawdad in short.
Okay. Just a couple things to wrap this up. I see online everyone's like, you don't got to get fancy with these. Black woolly buggers is all you need all day long. And we, of course, don't have any black woolly buggers out here. But yes, you can catch bass on woolly buggers. It's a bit more simplistic. I think one of the things that our fly shop especially loves is watching these eats, these big fish chase big flies. You can catch them on smaller flies. This YouTube channel is our fishing experiences and us sharing with you what our fishing experiences are. And honestly, we just love to see the big eats. But I know, Gabe, you were guiding someone recently and he's like, see, you can catch bass on small flies. And we're like, yeah, you can. But I think we all enjoy these larger eats and larger flies a bit more. But just know you can fish other patterns out there. These are about 10 of our absolute favorites. Any words of wisdom for stripping any of these flies in? You said the dry flies kind of top water, what to do. You guys, any more advice on retrieves?
Strip.
Strip.
Fucking
Yeah, I mean,
strip. If you don't think you're stripping, strip again.
I would
And then
say
strip one more time.
I would say the most important thing, most everyone probably already knows this, but pauses. They almost always eat on the pause. I mean, you'll watch a fish that'll follow, come out, you strip it, it follows again, and you let it die, and it eats it when it drops like that. Very rarely do I see them eat it when it's getting burned through the water. They want to see it die. So
Gabe always tries to hold me accountable to that, and I'm not very teachable. So he's like, pause, Dad, pause.
Yeah.
No patience.
So what Colby just said, that's my tip, is be patient with these fish, because you can do the same thing all day and fish a black woolly bugger all day and catch a bunch of small fish all day. But if you want to catch the fish that we consistently find and see those big blow-ups and see big fish chase your fly to your feet, you got to be patient, you got to stay consistent, you got to strip a lot, you got to pause a lot, and you got to try a lot of stuff, because in my experience, and I think you guys can vouch for this, but these fish change their mind a lot. Not just on the day, but within the hour. Like, these fish can be very temperamental, especially the big ones. So if you guys are out there thinking, oh, I just keep getting little guys, well, you're probably doing the same thing every single day, hoping for a different result, and we all know that's the definition of insanity. So don't do that. And again, huge piece of advice. I hate to say this because it doesn't always work in summer, but again, dink patrol. So even if you just want big fish all year round, fish the biggest fly you got. You might only catch one all day, but you will catch the bigger fish. So
we're out there hunting the bigger fish for sure. I mean, you can go to the John Day and you can catch 150 fish on one fly in one day, but they're all dinks. And what our fly shop really loves chasing is the big bass, the bass that are measured in pounds, not inches, and we've been pretty successful recently doing that. So a couple last things. We've got some bass books here. Colby is our book guy, and
I like reading.
he loves reading the covers, back and front, and that's it. But you can get most everything from the back and front of a book. But we've got the Blaine Chocolate
Google search
Gamechanger.
bass book summary,
Yeah.
Colby Olson.
Everything else is Chat GPT.
We've got the Gamechanger book by Blaine Chocolate. Amazing book. We've had Blaine here. He is one of the most knowledgeable guys when it comes to smallmouth bass. A lot of patterns that we have here. Our flies that Gabe was talking about that our shop brought in. That's the Chocolate Factory. So Blaine, we got you, man. We're ordering a bunch more flies from him. We've got fly fishing for Western smallmouth, not to be confused with the Eastern smallmouth, but great if you like seeing people from 1985 in their apparel.
It's a little antiquated, but solid information, and we'll cover both flies and fishing, and
Yeah.
a lot of different. It's got great depth.
Yep, which we love. I'm just joking. We love the older books as well. And then we have Smallmouth, Modern Fly Fishing Methods, Tactics, and Techniques. And I know that Colby, you love that
It's a
book.
great book.
A great book. The guy who helped write that, Tim Landor, is an absolute boss for smallmouth and has been doing it longer than we've been alive. So
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you guys weighing in on these flies. I'm excited to see us transition. As we know, rivers are hot right now. This is not the time to be fishing for trout in some of our local waters. Clackamas is over 67 degrees. Even some of our mountain streams are getting warm. They're approaching that 66-degree threshold. So it's really time to start exploring new water, exploring new species. We've got bass, we've got carp. So give it a whirl. I think you're going to find some pretty amazing results with these flies. And with that, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time on Fly Fishing Unfiltered.
be bass curious.